So we're going to do shadow work. Why it's so important? Shadow work, we think it's just something illusionary. Some people still undervalue it. It's something from shamanism or witchcraft, but it's so important. Most of our problems, at some point, we made it a choice. We choose that problem to live with this. But because it is a problem and now we're chronically exposed to it, we're in constant pain. And now, through the chronic exposure to this pain, it becomes real trauma. But we don't know how to deal with this trauma if at some point we already made the choice to stick with this. Now we have to lie to ourselves, pretend something that we're not, to fit in, to live with that trauma and make ourselves feel a little better. It doesn't work, but many of us do this. Some do it whole life. It takes over their entire life. But each of us go through those phases here and there. And it's nice to be able to recognize it before it's a huge problem, before it takes over entire life. So we lie to ourselves, we start playing roles, pretend something that we're not. Our life becomes a theater. So we have excuse now for doing things that we made a wrong choice about. That makes you very vulnerable to all the influence out there. Now you cannot resist mental programming, abuse, toxic relationships, because you lose sense of reality already by then. And that tipping point where I was trained, we even call it cliche, just like cliche phrases. When you hear people talking like this, those cliche language, same phrases they heard someplace from those gurus, politicians, in these memes now. This is almost point of no return. So when you're listening to people like this, aura, they're already gone. They're very dangerous, also non-intentionally. They'll screw your life because it's already a zombie. They may think they love you, but they'll screw your life because they're not capable of thinking. Or people that are very smart and using this type of language intentionally. Intent, was that what matters? We use the same language with intention to help people, but there are much more people who use it with intention to harm. Imagine how powerful the skill is to recognize those things. So, okay, for now, we're not going to focus on that huge global level. In our personal life, how is it helpful to us? Where you're lying to yourself. Very difficult to admit, though, or recognize. When you're in the problem, it's very difficult to recognize the reality when you were there for a long time already. That's why we need help of others. That's why we go to therapists. But okay, on micro level, what is the difficulty right now is pressing? Is it your health relationship? You're not nourishing your body properly. You're not going to bed, refusing to go to bed on time. Therefore, all your health is affected by it. Or you're not making enough money, just afraid to raise your fees. Pick one thing at a time, work through it, learn the process, understand the mechanics behind it. And then you will be able to solve all your problems one by one. Takes a bit of time because actually it can be really painful. And then once you fix your own problems, you'll be able to help others to fix their problems. Not everyone can be helped. That's a skill to recognize to whom you can help or who's simply out of scope. They need to go to psychiatrist already. Or someone is so stuck in their ways. I would say even it's just their character, not illness or disease. For some people, it's just their character. Can you change other people's character? You can't. They will just come and eat you over and over. They're not interested in solving problems. They just need that attention, your life energy. They'll come over and over, nothing will shift. They'll just eat you little by little. Okay, do you want to agree on specific thing, or we can do it free flowing? I'll use vague language so each of you can apply it to whatever.
The self-confidence.
Confidence.
Yes,
I could go
definitely.
with that. I've been having that like masculine, like, you know, too much in my masculine thing and wanting to be more in my feminine. So like confidence to be in that. Maybe if you could add something like that too with the confidence.
Balance. Okay.
Yeah, balance. That's a good word, I think.
And I find, Gazalia, that I have a lot, I guess, to put it orderly, you know, to prioritize it. There's so much to do, but I need to prioritize it in the right order.
I've been doing lots of shadow work this last couple of years, ongoing project. But one of the things I kind of struggled with was the difference between confidence and self-love. I always kind of thought I was building up self-confidence, which I have. And what I kind of realized what I was really lacking was genuine self-love. So maybe kind of the difference between the two of those.
I like that. Thank you for sharing
So
that.
confidence, we can fake it until you make it, but confidence comes through doing that thing where you lack in confidence. For no one, it's everywhere you lack in confidence. You're probably very confident in brushing teeth. Most of people are, right? Having sex. Who's not confident here? Natural thing. But were you at the first time? If you didn't have experience, you weren't. Your body probably was shaking, right? It comes through doing things. Yes, we can motivate with hypnosis or coaching a person, like they need to get on a stage or they need to start new career. We can motivate them. We can help them to bring more to the service of those inner resources that they're not aware of. But truly, confidence built from doing that thing where you're liking it over and over and over and over. This is the only way to build confidence. Self-love is completely different. It's a completely different thing. Accepting yourself and where on the list of priorities you are. Did you even make on that list of priorities? You see,
Yeah.
that's not related to confidence at all.
I guess you maybe could look at it like if you have more self-love, then you would believe in yourself that you're confident enough, like that would help build your confidence, like valuing yourself.
If I love myself and I believe that I'm worth it, even if I don't have any confidence in that specific area, whatever I need to do,
Okay.
it wouldn't stop me. I'm worth it. And then priorities, that's kind of related to self-love, isn't it? Where am I on that priority list? Where am I in this
Yes.
priority list? What is more important to me?
Yes.
Trying to do everything for everybody. What does it show? Do you love yourself enough, or are you just completely focused on everybody else? Everybody else comes above you.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for breaking that down a little more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
even what you said, Melanie, we can view it from the same angle too. Balance between masculine and feminine. Right now, well, whether I'm feeling safer in that strong, assertive energy, masculine, or because it began when I had no choice but to be that. I was forced into these circumstances. And not because I was doing it, whether I wanted or not, whether I had confidence in it or not. It didn't matter. I had to do it. I had to be that. And now you've done it for so many years. Of course, you feel confident and comfortable in it, right? You see? So it just what conscious choice you're making, how to be, how to present yourself, how to start receiving now as a woman. It comes from intentional choice and actually start doing it, little baby steps.
And I think sometimes what I thought was confidence was actually armor. You know, I thought I was living my life as this confident person and people view me as confident. But I think one of the things I was getting wrong was that it was armor. It was just
Put up
fake
a
confidence.
shield, put up a
Yeah.
shield. If I look
Yeah.
certain way, people won't attack me. I'll feel safer, right?
Right. And always kind of on guard and ready to, like, if a friend double crossed me or even did anything, I was ready to push them away. And I guess I always kind of felt like I was walking around confidently, but really
it's the
it was just out of
opposite,
fear.
actually. The
Yeah.
opposite, right?
Right.
Insecurity.
But then on the other line, I was not respecting boundaries that I set in my life in relationships and things like that. So how could I be confident on one end? So I obviously some doing it wrong somewhere. Obviously there's something.
You see, intuitively, we all know that. It's very easy to see in other people, easier to see it in others than in ourselves. In men, you know, when they act cocky, obnoxious, pretend they play in that role of macho, when in reality they're so insecure and afraid of rejection. And you can see it through their act so easily and it looks silly. So, okay, the hierarchy, the cliche, this is how you can easily recognize when you are not really can understand what is the exact problem is. We can say, well, this is my confidence problem, whether it's in reality, it's insecurity. We think it's a priority problem, where it's an acceptance of self, like in self-love. So what is the actual problem? On top of it, why we use that on big cliche, even though maybe your speech can be normal, let's say normal, intelligent, you have your own original thoughts and ideas, but where you slip up in using those cliche phrases, in which area, when it comes to which topic. This is how we can detect the actual problem. So if you recognize those patterns, now it will tell you which role are you playing. Maybe not in every area of your life, but in the specific thing. Which role are you playing? What are you pretending to be in that specific thing? And then you go downwards from that. Okay, why did I decide to pretend to be that, to put on that mask? What is it protecting me from, or how is it helping me to feel better about myself? From then, you can recognize which pain you're trying to soothe, from what you're protecting yourself. From then, you can go to that very bottom. This is where, well, in our work, it's called no outlet, or a no exit zone, or a trap, where you cannot see the exit from the problem or a pain, or this problem seems unsolvable. Any
Dead end.
problem solvable, from any situation there is exit, but that internal conflict traps you in. You choose, it's your choice. Woman come, my husband is abusing me, help me feel better. Put him to jail, live your life. But no, he makes all this money. I live in a nice house. For us outside, it seems stupid. For her, because that's her priority, to live in a nice house and receive this money, because she doesn't deem herself capable of living on her own. Or maybe not even the case, just lazy. You know, on the ladder of values, personal values, on top of the ladder, not to work. I am too good for it. I am too good to work. I'll do anything. I'll suffer through anything. I'll be abused. I'll be walked over. I need to be where I don't have to work. Okay, in the healing world, why it's full of wackadoodles, not jobs? You can see it in healing retreats. You can see it in communities where healers come together. Have you ever visited? Did you run fast enough from there? Because healers, that actual healers, they do the work. They don't have time for bullshit. Who go into those communities who need to bunch up together? People are that delusional, and now they have to look for that proof for their delusion to make themselves feel better. So they find each other, now whole healing retreat. They're telling each other how gifted they are, how psychic they are, how amazing they are. Everybody nods and they take turns to tell about it too. So everybody's nod, hug, all love and light, everybody happy. They go back home to the same situation. Now it hurts again. Let me take another course. Imagine how many got unlucky and signed up with me into courses. Because I don't fit into the delusions. And that hurts, isn't it? Yeah.
As I'm listening to you and I'm like trying to simplify it, it's almost like the stories we tell ourselves and then
Yes.
seeking outside validation to validate that story to keep us in that cycle. And
Exactly.
then kind of this little breakdown that you're, sharing with us, it's almost like pulling those pieces out, what I would refer to like
Exactly.
a
We're
loop.
dissecting all this because it didn't happen overnight. It was a whole journey, and it's always choice. Remember, we did that session. You're exactly where you wanted to be. This is all your choice. You're exactly in the place you wanted to be, even though it might be miserable. But you've made that choice, and you're holding on to this place. Okay, let's take not such an exaggerated case. Money. Okay, no, self-love. Let's do, because everybody can benefit from that. I am mom, that's my role, right? But I'm also a woman, that's my role too. And I'm also wife, and I'm also somebody at work, and that, and that, and that. But especially for new moms, this is the most important thing, to take care of kids, right? That's why the balance of all areas is so important. But here, she's exhausted. She maybe doesn't have any help. Whole 100% of her life is being mom. And now she's at the point where she can't deal with this anymore. She's like, I just want to go have good night's sleep, good meal when nobody's screaming and climbing up me and ripping my hair out. I want to get help. I want to feel like a woman again. And she tells herself, but I'm a mom. This is the most important thing. So she takes breath and go be a mom again. Few days passes, she's again exhausted completely. I just wish to be a woman for an evening. Get attention from my husband, be pampered, have a meal without getting my hair, ripped out from the head or being burped out. And then she reminds herself, but I'm a mom. This is the most important thing. And it goes in cycles, and then it just gets into this routine. And because it hurts, now she tells herself, this is who I am. I am that mother that is completely devoted to my children. I am that heroine, like Mother Teresa of all moms. I'm sacrificing myself. So she carries that role with pride because she had to justify her suffering. It's painful to admit none of my family cares about me and willing to step up and help me. It's painful to admit my husband got a young woman on the side and spent all time with her, and I'm taking care of my 5 kids alone. It's very painful. So now she says, this is my choice. I am that kind of Mother Teresa of all moms. And then she has to constantly support that lies, these roles that she's playing. So she's seeking out those proofs. Yeah, sticker for you. Here's like, you are that kind of mom. Completely devoted, you completely sacrificed your life. Now she's seen from millions of memes. She scrolled through the Instagram. She notices only those that supports that agenda. She can join groups with moms. She can be number one there to continuously prove it to herself. I am that kind of mom. The scariest thing happened when kids are already grown. Who is she now? Right? So we need to remove that language so she can recognize the role she's playing. Then from there, she needs to recognize the actual pain, this internal conflict, and she needs to go back all the way down to this situation that she deemed unsolvable. Because any situation is solvable. You'll have to pay for it, but didn't she already pay? We have to pay for everything, whether we do something or not, we still have to pay. So she has to go back there, which is painful. She spent half of her life trying to escape the situation. Now she has to go back, admit it, face it. This is the shadow work we do. Shadow work in its true sense. Now you have to live with this for a while. Only when you see it for what it is and feel it, not escape it, not pretend that you're not feeling, feel it. As painful as it is, from that point only you can see the way out, you can figure it out. Well, I'm going to threaten my husband with divorce. If he divorces me, so be it. He's not home anyway. He's useless. It would be easier for me to take care of kids if I didn't have to take care of him. Not a healthy example, I know. Or now, instead of my mom on the phone teaching me every day how to live my life and be a better mom, maybe I can recruit her, come at least once a week, watch my kids while I'm taking a shower and having a hot meal, or maybe taking a nap. Or if there is absolutely no one in the family is capable or willing to do this for me, to help me, now I have to figure out how I'm going to recruit help from outside. I need to get paid babysitter maybe. Or if it's not possible, there are not enough money in the family. Okay, how can I structure my day in a way that there is less on my plate? Maybe not everything that I'm doing is really necessary. Maybe not every meal needs to be cooked from scratch. I know it's healthier from scratch, but when you're exhausted on a scale, now your sanity, your life, are you going to even survive that? Maybe some frozen vegetables, or maybe even ordering like from a restaurant once in a while. Is dusting absolutely necessary every day? Is made bed absolutely necessary for your survival? You know, then you just put on the list of priorities what's absolutely necessary. So you see the process. It's kind of simple, but it's so difficult at the same time, isn't it? When we experience this internal conflict and we make those choices we think that would make us feel better, and we start putting on mask and pretend something that we're not, and putting up that theater, who is bent into your shadow side? This is the real you, isn't it? And then we're surprised. I'm not living up to my potential. I am not taking care of myself. I am not loving myself. How could you? It's not even real you. The real is, tucked up into the dark corner, jailed. Because if I hide that part, I don't have to face it or admit it to myself. You see? Makes sense now, isn't it?
I was, listening to the Carl Jung, I always say it wrong, but how he's big on the shadow work, but that's what he said. You actually find your most power digging into the shadow, and that, like how you're saying it in a different way, like get to the real you, then you know what you're really working with, what tools and power you really have, and can change our lives in a more powerful, beneficial way, instead of these cliche things and stories we tell ourselves.
Now you'll be more aware. Go watch on a YouTube. Don't get sucked in, because this is infection. It's a virus. Why it's so dangerous? Even when you are aware, your ears is an open audio channel. It goes in whether you're aware or not. It goes in, it infects you. When we're doing hypnosis, I'm telling you, I'll be hypnotizing, even during classes. Even if I warn I'm going to hypnotize you, you won't even notice. You're so very aware, you're present, and you still get hypnotized because you cannot resist it, even if you're aware. Once you recognize this language coming from other people, only thing you can do is to remove yourself from this situation, or have them shut up if it's appropriate, or you just physically leave. You physically leave the situation, because then you're going to be infected and zombified. This is a virus. Don't feel sorry, because you probably have lots of people in your social circle. Like, do not feel sorry. If you're dating a guy with a syphilis and it's already on his face, would you feel sorry and have sex with him anyway? No, but if you recognize this language, you know this person is already carrying virus. Why do we feel obligated to be nice and still interact with them? This is even more dangerous. Watch a bit of those gurus, like Sadhguru, the language patterns. Lots of life coaches uses. Tony Robbins uses. We think they have good intention. Listen to what they say. Pay attention. And even if you go in with that awareness, you know what you're looking for, but pay attention to what's happening to your head, how you get poisoned. Well, those people use it intentionally. They're smart. They're smarter than average human being. They use it skillfully. But how many people are so already zombified, they just transmitting this virus without understanding? It affects us just as badly. Here in the group, how many times, like a question, which wasn't ever a question, and they start spinning, and you lose track. They weaving this toxic web to trap you. You get hypnotized. The worst one here, remember that woman, Melanie, you were there. The ones that I cast. All of us were hypnotized. All of us.
Yeah, that was a very eye-opening experience, because I thought I was very mindful in the spiritual world and, separate, and you put in for perspective for me, like you were talking about, how is that practical to your life? Like, how is that putting food in your fridge, in your cabinets? How is that making you money?
And she wouldn't shut up.
And she just kept going on and on. And you were even trying to ask her, like, how is that going to help people? Or what are you doing with people? And and I think it was like 5 minutes into her talking, I checked out and was reading my notes and stuff. And then all of a sudden you're, kind of called her out, and it was like, oh, you're right.
She's like, what do you got to say about Guzala? Like, I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about. There's no meaning to it. Absolutely. She shows up second time, and then she started, it was a class, and you missed that, Melanie. That was only time I actually yelled at somebody, because she wouldn't shut up. And it seems like conversations are, but then it's kind of pulling you into the swamp, and you lose sense of reality. She's bringing up some names nobody knows about. Every sentence was cliche phrases. And she doesn't understand where she is. We're talking about business. She's talking about Buddhism, interrupting.
Galactic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It was only once in 5 years I had to yell at somebody.
Well, you can see in a situation like that, let's, again, as a healer practitioner, two things are going to happen. The person's going to be so tranced out that, yeah, sure, here's my card, sign me up. Or kind of, again, buy into that, feed into it. I guess the third would be that you realize it's crap and walk away. But yeah, that was another eye-opening experience and I appreciated it.
It's dangerous, but you can see how powerful the linguistic patterns we use in our hypnosis. In conversational hypnosis, this is exactly what we use. Where I was trained, it's called schizophrenic linguistic patterns. They were modeled from it. I don't think it's taught to public though, because it's too dangerous. It's modeled from schizophrenics. This is not normal language. This is nonsense what we use in conversational. You probably noticed that last Sunday. But you can use it even more intentional, so you'll see actual complete trance. It's not always needed in our work, but if you have to, it's used more, we call it verbal combat. Spies use it. In normal therapeutic setting, I mean, person came voluntarily to you. You don't need to use those things against. But you need to be aware, know what it is. So you're not taking in a client who will zombify you. It will happen so fast, you wouldn't know what happened. And then not to being, influenced by those gurus.
Like in a situation like that, how we were talking about the weeding out people to work with or not. So let's say you found yourself with a client that was doing that, you talk about taking control of the session. So would you recommend, try to take back the control, and then if they don't stop, just end the session?
How deep this problem is? If you cannot get through, I mean, there is no point. It might be out of our scope already.
Okay.
There might be real schizophrenia.
Okay.
If you cannot get through in one session, seconds shouldn't happen. Just finish. Detach, finish, get through. Unless it's obvious and they admitted that they have schizophrenia, you shouldn't be doing hypnosis or anything. It'll be useless. Yeah, you see why person cannot even communicate what hurts. Because for too long, for how many years, certain role was played and already programmed so badly, doesn't have sense of reality.